Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. My guest on today's episode is conductor, composer, arranger, Enrico Lopez-Yañez. He was recently appointed guest principal pops conductor of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with the ISO's esteemed new maestro. Hola.
Hola. How are you?
May I call you Enrico?
Yes, of course.
Oh, God. What a pleasure to meet you. I'm so excited. You know, I'm Mexican-American. I'm very, very proud of my history, Mexican culture and arts, and we'll have a lot to ask you about in terms of what this means as far as representation.
Sure.
You know, I'm just very, very excited to talk to you. You know, I've been covering the performing arts in this market for almost 45 years. So
Wow.
your arrival at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra is hugely momentous. I don't know if you realize. As a member of the Latino community here, you may or may not know that it has grown exponentially to huge numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into all that. Welcome to the show, Enrico. It's such a pleasure having you on my podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
And congratulations on your new appointment. What exactly is your title?
So it's principal guest conductor of pops at the Indianapolis Symphony.
And what does that entail?
So that is, it's a new role that's brand new and newly created, which means I'll be coming in a few times a year to work on concerts, both on the pop series, as well as some concerts during the summer out at Conner Prairie, to do sort of some new programming, some things that either I've arranged or bringing in new guest artists and things like that as a way to sort of expand upon the types of programs that the Indianapolis Symphony presents and brings to the greater Indianapolis area.
And what are you most excited about doing while you're here?
Wow. I mean, in terms of programming, I'm just so excited to be a part of working with the great team of not only the musicians at the symphony, who of course are outstanding performers, the staff, which has such a long history of building great pops shows and building, self-producing things, whether it's Yuletide or, pop shows that used to, go around the country touring. Of course, partnering with Maestro Jack Everly, who has been such inspiration and mentor for me, and bringing some of my own sort of unique, whether it's musical inspirations or personal touches that are things that have guided my musical career thus far. A great example of that is the first program that I'll be doing there in November, which is called La Vida Loca. It's a brand new show that I'm finishing up all the arrangements on as we speak. It's a mix of sort of 90s, early 2000s Latin pop sensations. So it's a show that covers artists like Celia Cruz, Carlos Santana, Ricky Martin, Shakira, Enrique Iglesias, all the big sort of hits during that 90s Latin pop wave that hit the United States, and is a really fun, upbeat, up-tempo show that has all brand new arrangements that fuses that sort of classic 90s pop sound with then an orchestra highlighting the incredible virtuosity that those musicians can bring to those programs.
Are you aware that we have a surging Latino community here in Indianapolis?
I do. I've had the privilege of working with some of the sort of Latino students and young professionals organizations when I've gone to visit in the past. Last season, I was there with a show called Latin Fire and had a lovely group of students that came, and we had sort of a pre-concert meeting to talk about being Latino in the arts and things like that. So it's been really lovely, but I'm so excited to meet more and to grow that relationship with the community there.
And pardon me, I should know this, but did you conduct any concerts within the last few years with the symphony?
Yes. So I've been going for the past few years. I've done several shows, both at Conner Prairie and in the downtown. And that includes, Latin Fire, which we did at the concert hall. I've done shows at Conner Prairie. Most recently, I did a Disco Fever show, which was another show that I created there.
Oh
I've
my.
conducted music of Harry Potter. I did a show with Cody Fry as well. So I've been there a few times now over the past few years and had a lovely experience every time.
Wow, so you're no stranger to Indianapolis. How is it that I missed you? I try to be so aware of Latino artists who come through here. Wow,
Yeah.
I saw for that. Before we went on, I mentioned briefly that, I've lived in Indy since the early 70s. When I came here, you could count 10 Latinos on your fingers. And now, I live in a neighborhood which is primarily Latino. It's called Little Mexico, as a matter of
Hmm.
fact. And a lot of my neighbors it's just so fascinating. They come from all over Mexico,
Mm.
and yet they meet here.
Yeah.
And no one could ever have imagined that. And that's happening in a lot of American cities. So
Sure.
I would say that your time has come in terms of attracting, this audience of people who would be interested in exploring, like the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra.
Hmm.
So was that a conscious decision on the part of ISO to, considering that you had everything that one would expect for a conductor, number one, but
Hmm.
your background, how much did this have to do with their understanding that representation is important?
I mean, certainly the ISO is always keeping representation in mind as far as programming, as far as representation on stage, both in musicians and the guest artists that get brought to the orchestra. I would say my Hispanic background is probably a bonus on top of the other things because, until recently, when they booked the Latin Fire show, I had not done anything particularly Latino in terms of repertoire with the orchestra. My first concerts there were, a music of John Williams and Friends, the Cody Fry show. There was the concert with, music of Harry Potter. So all these shows that really any conductor of any ethnicity could have
Yes.
been doing. But then my presenting them the idea of Latin Fire was sort of a way for them to see a different part of me than they had previously in terms of what I like to bring to the table in the work that I do. And so I think that was, maybe an extra bonus or the cherry on top in terms of that.
Sure. Well, I presume that you prefer being referred to as a conductor, composer, arranger who happens to be Latino, as opposed to he's a Latino conductor
Right.
and all of that sort of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in your own background. I know that you're a native of Mexico. Do you have a dual citizenship, or what's your story?
Yeah, I do have dual citizenship. I'm both a Mexican and American citizen. My father is on my father's side. That's where my Mexican heritage comes from. He, born and raised in Mexico, and he, as well as my mother, both have music in their backgrounds, and that's how they met. My dad moved to the United States when he was in his mid-20s to study opera, and
Really?
he moved to Los Angeles to be a tenor, and my mom was getting her master's degree in Los Angeles at the same time in piano, collaborative piano. So she became his accompanist. They were sort of paired together, and
Wow.
that is how their relationship was built, was them working together as music collaborators. And my dad won a major opera competition during that period that allowed him to go on a sort of audition tour in Europe of all the major opera houses. And from that, he booked himself over a dozen contracts with these major opera houses in Europe. And so they relocated and they moved to Germany for what actually became the first few years of my life was in Germany as my dad was working there. And then eventually we moved to the United States to be closer to both my mom and my father's family, to California, and sort of split our time between Mexico and the US for holidays and things like that.
Oh, that's so interesting. Where
Yeah.
in Mexico?
Aguascalientes, which is right in the center of the country. Yeah.
And I was looking at your credit. I know that you've done a lot of work in the US with major orchestras, a
Mhm.
lot of, oh my God, there's so many names attached to your credits, some big names, big names. Have you conducted much in Latin America?
Primarily in Mexico, yes. In fact, I'll be back there in December. I'm doing a show actually with my father, a Three Mexican Tenors concert that we have. So we'll be doing that together.
So your father's one of that trio?
He's one of the trio, yeah. So he'll be singing. We'll get to work together. It's always a real fun experience getting to work with him.
Do they have any dates in the Indianapolis area by any chance?
There's nothing yet, but hopefully we'll be able to bring that to the ISO because it's a really fun show. It's a lovely mix of kind of traditional three tenors repertoire where you have Neapolitan songs and some opera arias, but then we go into this whole sort of exploration of Mexican music. And there's traditional mariachi music of Luis Miguel, Juan Gabriel, a lot of the big sort of Mexican pop stars and figures of Latin music.
I understand that you develop a lot of new stuff. That sets you apart, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's something that I just grew up doing. I mean, when I was a kid, I played in any genre of music ensemble that I could, whether it was in, mariachi groups and klezmer bands, in the school jazz band, in the San Diego Youth Symphony, in oldies groups. And in those kinds of ensembles, you oftentimes are having to write your own thing. I mean, I was in a punk rock band and loved writing my own songs. And so
punk rock, really?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm sorry to stereotype, but looking at you, I don't see where.
Yeah, I played drums and sang in a punk rock band from middle school on throughout late in high school.
Wow.
So I've just always enjoyed all genres of music. And
so where are your tattoos?
My mom did not allow me to get that deep into the culture. I don't see any
piercings either.
No.
Speaking of big names, you played. You're, and this is not unusual, as I've come to understand. Jack actually educated me. It's not uncommon for conductors with credits like yours that you have maybe 4 or 5 orchestras that you head up. Is that true?
Right. That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys manage your time when you do that. It's like a chess game, isn't it? I mean.
It is, yeah. I mean,
scheduling and all that stuff.
It's a lot of. I mean, thankfully, my manager, which happens to be the same manager that Jack has, is incredible and great at. He has years of experience.
Who's that?
His name is Peter Throm.
Oh gosh, he's like got his fingers in all kind of pies.
Exactly. So he's very good about getting schedules several years in advance so that he can piece together the puzzle with all of the orchestras at which I work.
And then the artists themselves, I mean, aren't they booking like 3-4 years out?
It's interesting that on the classical side of things, yes, and opera maybe even more so than a regular classical artist. On the popular side, it varies. I mean, a lot of more, contemporary, current top 40s artists book very close in time. They don't like to commit to projects super far into the future. So it's a balancing act of the groups that do want to book a year or more out, paired with those who are not willing to take a date, more than 3 to 6 months out in advance. So when it comes down to programming and choosing shows, it's that puzzle piece that we're constantly working with, is getting the artists that are contemporary and big now versus the ones who are willing to take dates further out and are maybe doing reunion tours or things like that. We're constantly balancing all those different puzzle pieces.
Will you be involved in programming with Jack on the pop series and the contemporary moving forward?
Well, on the programs that I conduct, yes. I mean,
that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have any special original things that you're thinking about for indie? When you create these things, do you have all the markets in mind that you work with?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. So the show in November, this La Vida Loca program, is being premiered in Indianapolis. So this will be the first time that it's ever done. It's an incredible selection of music, but also an incredible guest artist list. The trumpet player that'll come with us, Jose Cibaja, he actually was with me at the Latin Fire show that we did last season, so audiences may remember him. But then we're bringing also 2 vocalists, one gentleman named Ender Thomas, who toured with Yanni for many, many years and is a big producer and recording artist of Latin music. Jackie Mendez, who was one of Ricky Martin's backup singers for many years. Jose, of course, played for Ricky Martin, he was on tour with him for about a decade, all during the big Latin Grammys in 1999 on through his big successful tours throughout the world. And then finally, we're also bringing a Latin percussionist, Luis Quintero, who has been on over 60 Grammy Award-winning albums and is one of the most renowned Latin percussion specialists in the world. So that's all part of that show. And, when we build that show, this one is one that I built in mind to be able to take to other cities, of course, because I think that is such a big part of a lot of people's upbringings was the music of that era and that genre. But then oftentimes we also have to choose repertoire specific to a city because, I have positions in, say, Detroit and Nashville, Dallas and Pacific, all of which have very different audiences, very different markets and demographics. And what will sell in Indianapolis will not necessarily sell well in Nashville, or what is good in Detroit doesn't necessarily sell in Orange County. So we have to be mindful of which shows we take that can go to all those markets versus which are maybe a little more specific to one area and one audience.
I see a lot of venues are doing like segmented sort of the programs. They have their jazz series, they have their blues series, they have their rock series, they have their Latino series, they have their rhythm and blues. That's more common than not anymore these days, right? Because it's shifting demographics.
Yeah, very true. A lot of places have a subscription series based or focused on one particular genre of music. There are still places, of course, at the symphony, the pop series, though it is technically all popular music, I mean, that is such a big bucket that it really catches all genres. So if you subscribe to that, you really get a nice mix and a big blend of not only genres of music, but decades and eras of music too, whether it might be a classic Broadway show one week, and then the next month you have something like this 90s Latin show. And then, a guest artist, when we brought, Cody Fry, he's a contemporary now. I mean, his records are coming out as we speak. So you get a nice blend of all genres and all styles.
I can't wait to see what you're going to do. And I'm hoping that you'll do something country here.
Are you a country fan?
Oh, yeah. Well, I review everything pretty much. I would say the Great American Songbook and musical theater. Great American Songbook in particular because of Michael Feinstein.
Sure.
He has captured this community in terms of his vision and what he's doing with the preservation of the Great American Songbook through his foundation, through his Song Academy. And he and the ISO are intertwined, as you know. All of you all are. It's incestuous. And obviously, we all benefit from it. But back to country, I was particularly interested in the fact that the Nashville Symphony is one of your gigs, if you will. And that fascinates me in terms of programming. I see all the usual big country stars that you've worked with, but how do you even that out? It's not all country in yours, but wow. I mean, that in itself, and I see so much movement towards people wanting to venture into country, crossover. When Michael Feinstein came out with that country album, for instance, who knew? Who knew? But it worked. It's one of my favorites, actually. So. Yeah,
there are more and more artists who have established careers in, anything from hip hop to rock to
look at Beyonce. I mean,
exactly.
It's opened up this whole universe of Black representation. They've always been there, but it's controversial, though, as you know. But in the end, I think that eventually we're going to see the day when it's going to be really integrated. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in Nashville, we do present a lot of country, but also other genres of music. And that goes back to, what I was saying previously, that market to market, we try to program to what the community is looking for and what they seek in terms of what the orchestra can put on stage for them, whether it's them being represented on stage or their musical interests and genres being represented on stage. And that's something that I always rely not only on the team from the administrative side, but also the audience members. I mean, I'll be the first to go up to audience members, give them my email and say, please write to me. Or if you see me at intermission or before or after a concert and there's a genre of music or an artist that you really love and would love us to consider and look into, please let me know, because that's the best way for us to then be able to present that and really represent what the audience wants to hear and see.
Well, but back to you. What are some of the other concerts that is on the Pops docket this season?
So another one that I'm really excited about is actually, I don't know that the ISO has ever done this. I certainly have never done something like this, which is it's a two maestros sharing the stage concert where both Maestro Jack Everly and I will both be on the same concert, and it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, there'll obviously be some humor involved because anytime you have two conductors and just the one podium that we have to share, it'll be interesting. It'll be nice.
You know what? I got a taste of that because I saw the Facebook post of the two of you did a little video promo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was clear that you were having a lot of fun and that you have chemistry.
And I admire him so much and all the work that he has done, not only at the ISO, but at all of his orchestras and throughout his career. So I'm excited to work and learn with him. You know, we have such different musical backgrounds and musical interests that I think it'll be a really fun and eclectic program that highlights both of our unique aspects and different skill sets and traits that we love musically, and to combine those into one concert should be a lot of fun.
I can see why you call him a mentor. There are so many parallels in your career. One being that he has that national broadcast, the PBS live show and the Memorial Day, and you have your own gig with the CMT network, correct?
Right. Our 4th of July show here that has been televised through CMT. Yeah, that's correct.
And how long have you been doing that?
So actually, one of the first concerts I ever did here as part of my audition was the 4th of July fireworks show in Nashville. So the fireworks show, I guess this season will be I think it'll be my 8th 4th of July that I've done with the orchestra. And it's one of my favorite things to do every year is just the spectacular level of fireworks and excitement that program has.
By the way, I want my listeners to know that we're doing a Zoom call and you're in Nashville right now.
I am, correct. That's a picture of the hall right there. That's
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So how do you like Nashville?
It's been great. I've made my home here for just over 7 years now and been given such incredible opportunities to work with different artists and develop different programs and shows. And of course, it being Music City, there are so many artists who make their home in Nashville. And that's not just country artists of all genres, which is one of the major reasons that I've been able to then create these collaborations and do performances with artists who otherwise have not done a lot of symphony show performances, but them having their home orchestra in their backyard has been very convenient for that.
Well, listen, a little birdie told me to ask you some questions, and this would be a friend of mine who's actually, I've become friends with several musicians at the ISO, and you're aware that they've had quite a turnover in the last 2 or 3 years. There are a lot of 30-somethings in that orchestra.
Yes, it's a very young orchestra. Yeah, absolutely.
They brought so much vitality. I mean, you can just feel it in the atmosphere when you go to, I was there the other night for their Rhapsody in Blue concert. Stuart Goodyear and Allison. I mean, it was just electrifying. Of course, Jack, being Jack and his, he's such a raconteur, and it's a delight. That concert just is, it's always so uplifting. But what do you make of the sound of the orchestra right now?
Well, like you said, I mean, it's so exciting to work with them because there's such an energy, such a vitality to the sound, and such an adeptness between genres of music too. There are a lot of cities, especially on the popular side of things, where, I may travel to an orchestra that has not performed much jazz repertoire. And so then they really struggle with the styles of swing and other musical things. But both the orchestra and, of course, under the leadership of Jack, there's such great playing happening there on the Pops that it's really, really exciting to.
Would you say that they're nimble?
Absolutely. Yeah. Incredibly nimble in all genres, in all styles. And the ability to jump between styles is also very impressive. So it's such a fun atmosphere.
The work of Steve Hackman, right?
Yes, absolutely.
His hybrid concerts, the musicians tell me that they absolutely love playing his music,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, and that's such a great example too of just the incredible sort of fusion of genres and styles that the musicians are being
And for
exposed
those
to.
listening who don't know Steve Hackman, he has a series here called the Uncharted series, and he's made a career of fusing these hybrid creations of classical music with contemporary artists, people
Right.
you wouldn't consider like Kendrick Lamar with, I don't know, and so
Yeah,
on.
he's done, Beethoven and Beyonce, or he's done, blendings of Radiohead and
Coldplay.
Brahms and
And
Coldplay. And
by the
yeah,
way,
exactly.
he has brought in those 30 somethings,
Yeah.
and they fill the halls. And I've noticed more. What are your thoughts about developing new audiences? Because it's very clear to me as a reviewer, because I'm there all the time, that audience is dying out, unfortunately.
Mm.
People my age, boomers, I'm 76.
Sure.
It concerns me a lot, and I know they're constantly aware of developing those new audiences. What are your thoughts about that in terms of, do you think of that consciously when you're developing program? I would think you would be.
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons that this upcoming show is a 90s Latin pop show is that it's very appealing to millennials and people who had exposure to music in the 90s and early 2000s.
Is
And
that your generation? Are you?
that is my generation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, when we did shows like with artist Cody Fry, who himself is a millennial, that's another example of appealing
Sure.
to that demographic. And I think a big thing is just helping the audiences realize that an orchestra is not a genre of music. An orchestra is an ensemble that can play in every style, in every genre, and actually enhance the music of any genre of music, whether it's collaborating with an R&B artist or a Broadway singer or a hip hop artist, a rapper, a gospel ensemble, a DJ. And the orchestra is one of the most flexible groups on the planet and is able to enhance all these different styles so that you can experience the music that you love of any genre in a new way. And that's really exciting.
I understand that you have some other talents, including you play the trumpet.
That was my primary instrument growing up. Yes, was the trumpet.
Uh-huh.
The trumpet, it doesn't see the light of day as often as it used to
Mhm.
nowadays.
And I
Though,
understand that you sing a little.
well, that even less so. I mean, I am not a trained singer whatsoever. So I am a great, I would say, shower singer, and unfortunately, sometimes audiences have to put up with that because I occasionally
Well,
will
you
sing.
must be good enough, or you wouldn't have shared the stage with Frankie Moreno, who, for our
Well,
listeners, was a co-host of Yuletide, I think last
oh
year and the
yes.
year before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Frankie and I have worked together several times, and we always have such a wonderful time when we work together. He's an incredible artist,
I
and
hear he's just a lot of fun, period.
he's a lot of fun and has been known to peer pressure me into singing on stage on occasion. So
But yeah, what can folks expect when you come to town?
I'd say expect some fun surprises. I think the programming that I'm excited about and hopefully bringing to the city is stuff that's new and fresh, whether it's thematic based like La Vida Loca or guest artist based and bringing some new faces that the city has maybe never seen, or at least not with the orchestra. And my whole goal is that we just all have an incredibly fun time anytime we are at the hall or out at Conner Prairie together. And so that includes things like having the audience more involved and making shows more interactive and participatory, just so that we remind everybody that the ISO is a welcoming environment where you can all come and have a great time and experience exciting, beautiful, engaging live music. And that's what it's all about.
And speaking to that, it's still a challenge, isn't it, now, to break down all those years of perception that the symphony hall is intimidating. What should I wear? What if I
Right.
clap at the wrong time? Are those people like judging me because, of what I'm wearing? All those kinds of things. What do you say to folks who still harbor those perceptions of, quote, they associate the symphony orchestras with the elite, or that's not me, how do I act, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind that There is no requirement. I mean, we are here to entertain and bring music to the community. And it's a come as you will. If you've never been to the symphony before, choose something that sounds interesting, something that sounds fun or intriguing, and just come to have a good time. That's all you need to bring with you is an open mind and an attitude of looking forward to being entertained and experiencing live music, probably in a way you've never heard it before. So that's what it's all about.
Can you say that briefly in a message to our Spanish-speaking audience?
Of course. Soy Enrico Lopez-Yañez invitándolos a que vengan a la Sinfónica de Indianápolis a escuchar música alegre de todos estilos, de todos géneros. Vengan, no importa cómo vengan vestidos, el chiste es que vengan a disfrutar y a pasársela bien.
Excelente. Well, it's been a great pleasure. I really look forward to meeting you, and I'm going to be there opening night to review the concert. Well, thank you again for giving me your time.
Thank you, Tom.
I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, see you at the Hilbert.
I'll see you there.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.